Good evening and welcome to the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. I am Andrew Gus, joining you live here from Lexington, Kentucky at the Lexington Ice Center for Game 2 of the matchup between your Indiana Hoosiers and the Kentucky Wildcats. Last night, the Wildcats won 5-3. They outshot your Hoosiers, along with the Hoosiers just not really being there. They were not in their defensive zone much, and they had way too many odd man rushes, leaving Sammy Billis out to dry. But tonight they've got another chance. Speaking about tonight, the Hoosiers coming into this matchup at 7-5. They are 2-2 in the TSCHL so far. On the opposite side will be the Kentucky Wildcats at 9-2 on the year and 2-2 in the TSCHL. Tonight the Hoosiers will be dressed in their black alternate jerseys, and Kentucky will be wearing their white jerseys and blue helmets. Looking in net will be Sammy Billis. He will be 5-1 so far this year, with a .917 save percentage and a 3.16 goals against average. On the other side will be Sam Tucker. He is 2-0 in his year with a .948 save percentage and a 1.50 goals against average. Looking around the T tonight, Miami faced off against Louisville. They beat them 5-2. And then the other game tonight here at midnight is IU facing off against the Wildcats. Another fun feature about tonight's game is that all month long, Kentucky's been supporting breast cancer. They use pink jerseys all month long, and they've been using pink game pucks as well. I'll show you right here. A nice pink logo on them. They've been using them all month long. It's been a great touch and something that we support. They're selling them for $15 at the pro shop here, and just a really nice touch to add to your night and the month, just showing their support for breast cancer. So it's great to have the game involved with different things like that and supporting cancer and trying to find the stop to that. In just a few minutes, we'll have puck drop at 11:59 here, along with the national anthem and starting lineups. I'll send it over to Garrett Drake and your play-by-play, Sam Weixler, and game time in just a few minutes.
Club Hockey at Indiana University is brought to you by the following team sponsors: Corson Security, the Blue Blazers Events Group, and Top Flight Hockey. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Lexington Ice Center in Lexington, Kentucky for Game 2 of this TSCHL series between the Wildcats of Kentucky and the Hoosiers of Indiana. Alongside Garrett Drake and Andrew Gus, I'm Sam Weixler, your play-by-play broadcaster. Last night's game ended up in a 5-3 drubbing. Indiana got out in the lead early after a Matthew McKay snipe in the first frame, but never led from there on. A very powerful second half of the evening for Kentucky last night. And really, what was the biggest impact, Garrett?
Yeah, early Indiana came out and they punched Kentucky in the mouth in front of their home crowd here on Midnight Madness, and you knew that they weren't going to let that fly for very long. And Kentucky came out. Indiana had some issues with penalties, as we mentioned. 3 power play goals for the Wildcats yesterday as well, so that was a big factor in the game. Indiana, the key for them today, they just got to stay clean, play their game, and not let the opponent into their heads like we saw towards the end of the game yesterday when they were falling behind.
Looking at the two sides right now, Indiana 7-5-0, and Kentucky now 9-2-0, and the one win they have via forfeit came against NC State. We talked about it last night, Garrett, where they went and played all the way into overtime, and then they decided to cut things out. Indiana and Kentucky, both high-scoring teams, over 5 goals a game each. And we know that Indiana put up plenty of points last weekend. We saw a flurry of goals. Will Jeremy had 2 hat tricks on separate evenings, and Tommy McDonald even got a hat trick as well.
Yeah, they're capable of erupting at any time, and the midnight start definitely not ideal. We saw yesterday they struggled with the jet lag a little bit, but they did have to travel yesterday as well. Today we were posted up in the lobby of the hotel for about, 8 or 9 hours
I'd
before
say
we
12.
left. Yeah, so
the guys that got kicked out of the room by the room service early had a longer day than we did.
So they've been eagerly anticipating this game here today for quite some time, and I think they're going to come out early and try to get the lead and then get on out of here.
Well, the power play for Indiana has been abysmal so far. It's no secret. They started out this year 0 for 25 with an extra man out there and have only recently recovered. 5 power play goals last weekend in 12 tries. 1 for 3, 2 for 4, and 2 for 5 in those 3 matches last weekend in Vinton, Virginia. And finally starting to push things in the right direction. On the penalty kill, Indiana has been quite strong. 14 for 18 last weekend, and until then, they were at 91%. Right now at 85%, including the struggles last night, the 3 power play goals you referenced earlier.
And looking at Indiana, they're plus 18 on the season as well, but only 2 games above 500. So that's something you don't see very often, but when they have won, it's been by large margins, so that's partly why the number's inflated there. So I would expect them to try to get a huge lead here today, especially with Sammy Billis in the net. So we'll see.
First weekend of the season that Sammy Billis will start back-to-back games. We've seen him on Friday nights every single chance they have had this year, and most of the time it's been Jack Thompson, the Saturday afternoon or Saturday night starter in this case. But Coach Weiss deciding to change things up and putting Sammy B back in the cage.
All these TSCHL games are crucial, so got to give it your best shot, especially after losing on Friday.
This is a double XP type weekend, Garrett, against a TSCHL league and division opponent.
Don't tell Kyler Murray. He's got a game tomorrow.
You said it, Garrett. We'll send it to a quick break before the starting lineups are announced and the house lights come down here at the Lexington Ice Center on Halloween night. Everybody in their costumes. Garrett, you said you even saw a couple Blackhawks jerseys.
Yeah, we got a flower one over there sitting next to Taser, so somebody wasted a little bit of money, but it's all right.
Well, they've got the NHL jersey exchange. Anywho, we'll send it to a quick break before the skaters come back out onto the ice, and the second Zamboni, the one that didn't break down, gets done finishing its final cut. Alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Weixler. This is Hockey at Indiana University on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. Welcome back to Lexington, Kentucky. Just a few short minutes outside of the campus for the University of Kentucky. An SEC school and a Big Ten school going head-to-head in the TSCHL for double points. On the ice, Indiana in their black sweaters lining up for the starting lineups. And we'll send it to ice level for the public address, where he'll announce the starting lineups for both sides. house lights are up and the song is over. The netminder for the Indiana Hoosiers in black sweaters and red bottoms. Sammy Billis, the junior, with a 5-1-0 record, a goals allowed average of .316, coming off a loss last night where he gave up 5 goals, and it nearly would have been a 6th if not for those very tight empty netters. On the other side of the sheet, the senior Sam Tucker from Berea, Kentucky, a 2-0 record, goals allowed average of 3, and a .948 save percentage. Last year, he was the primary netminder for the Wildcats. 17 games played, his save percentage of just over 90%. And this season, serving as the secondary netminder behind the newcomer Riley Allen. Indiana in black. The Wildcats of Kentucky on their home sheet in white from the far side to near on your radio dial. And Indiana from near to far. Picked off immediately. Eastlak rushing toward the zone. Slaps it backhanded at Billis and careens behind the crease. Shot in traffic and it smacks Chambers right in the pectorals, and he rushes up the ice. Slides past a would-be hit, and Simino chops at it on the far side. Into the far corner where it's centered and nobody's able to match it. Now Michelli feathering it across, intercepted in open ice. Eastlak again 9-irons it back into the Indiana end zone, and Whitliff comes in to collect the garbage. Pushed into the corner right in front of the stands. Eastlak working that line, and his centering attempt doesn't find a white sweater. Deflection and a little bit of a bobble goes all the way back to the far side of the ice, where Eamon Mulkern handles the damage. Intercepted in open ice. Nola shot punched away by Sam Tucker, up and out of play, and the clock stops with 19:04 to go here in the first frame. Garrett, right away, Indiana coming out gunning.
Already flying around, as you mentioned, Sam, and they got real fortunate off the opening faceoff there. Gary Eastlak got the turnover in opponent territory, and the puck kind of dribbled out of reach before he could get a shot off on Billis, and Kentucky wins the draw here.
After the ensuing draw, Indiana thinks about a change but feigns it, and the Wildcats will set up the offense. Quarterbacking it from his own end was Mulkern. Now moving forward and getting it just a bit jumpy was Mark LaRue. Offside called, and the clock will come to a grinding halt with just 90 seconds elapsed.
Indiana back in black tonight, Sam, something that we didn't quite expect, but they are 2-0 in these jerseys as they swept Bowling Green, wearing them in both games. Debut of the black.
McKay yanks it away from the boards behind his bench. Timmons dishing forward to Null, who gets his pocket picked, and it's flipped up against the window in front of the fans, and now a whistle's been blown. The referee right in front of us decided the play should not continue. And Garrett, last night, Indiana really struggled after going up early. We talked about it. Matthew McKay getting his second tuck of the year. Tommy McDonald also finding himself on the score sheet twice, in fact. He had a goal and an assist. Will Jeremy did the exact same, a goal and an assist for him. But for the Wildcats, the young phenom who was the league rookie of the year last year, Gabe D'Amico, involved in 4 out of the 5 goals that Kentucky had. 3 goals and an assist, a hat trick for D'Amico. Wildcats win the draw to the stick side of Billis. Quinn working the far side. Centering pass, and the whistle's been blown again.
Net came off. We saw that happen a couple times yesterday as well, but you were talking about the issues yesterday, and really it started on the defensive end for Indiana. Their D-men, we saw that there was a bit of a lack of communication at times, and Kentucky had a lot of success with crowding the crease yesterday, just getting as many bodies by their netminder as they can, so maybe Indiana tries to do that as well.
Draw won by the Wildcats, and it's poked across the blue line. Retreating into his far side is Tim Burke, one of the veterans of this team, an alternate captain as well. Quinn whacks it, pushing it into the corner where McKay draws it away. Now to Brandenburg, who shovels it all the way across into no man's land, and it's pushed forward again by Eastlak. He seems to be in every place at once. Eastlak through the goal line and back around the other side. Feed to the near side point, to the backside now. Burke can't collect it and regathers it. Sustained attack setting up. Wildcats trying to cycle the puck as Burke straddles the blue line and then hops on the wrong side of it. So the clock stopping at 17:37. And Jack Null taking a visit to the penalty box early.
Not what you want to see if you're Indiana right there. We talked about the penalties being an issue, and Knoll already ending up in the box here a couple minutes in.
So Indiana, as we mentioned, 85% or so on the penalty kill. And the Wildcats 39% with an extra man on the ice. Garrett, that is a monumental number this far into the season. Shot through traffic. LaRue puts it right off the kneecap of an Indiana defenseman. From behind the cage, Cortapella dipsy-doos to the far circle. His pass does not reach the intended target, and Castricani zips the puck 200 feet.
Nice job blocking that cross-ice pass. Kentucky's been trying to set up a couple one-timers on the weak side, so something to look out for if you're Indiana.
Wildcats enter the zone, but do so unsuccessfully and cede possession. Warner steps aside from a hit and then looks forward where Brandenburg plays onto it. A shot over the bar and smacking off the glass. Recovered by Brandenburg. Doesn't have a play as Indiana still on the kill here. A good attack to knock away some time. Brandenburg reaches out trying to catch the line drive but doesn't do so. Indiana a good change, and the Wildcats will get some fresh legs on as well. Back to even strength, 5 aside. We've played 3.5. Michelli chasing down the puck behind the cage. Alex Rakitic, the man, going with him. And now we're going to have what looks to be a cross-check on the far side of the ice with 16-17 remaining.
Indiana getting their first opportunity on the man advantage here today. We mentioned in the pregame they're hovering around 15% right now, so it can't get much worse. We'll see if they can improve on that number. If they score, it's going to jump up quite a bit.
Last season, Kentucky was one of the most penalized teams in all of ACHA hockey, averaging just under 30 minutes of penalty minutes per game. This year doing much better on that front, under 15 minutes per game, so they cut their penalties in half, Garrett. But right away, we're seeing each team with a chance to go up with an extra man. So Indiana on the attack. Jeremy zigzagging, a shot right in front, and now a whistle's been blown after Jeremy got bounced onto his side. And Garrett, these referees are really blowing their whistles quickly.
Yeah, that was a nice setup by Indiana there. They had Whitliff bring the puck up with Jeremy trailing, and then Whitliff passed it between his legs to Jeremy and kind of set a screen for him to swoop through the middle, and I think they called him offside.
Face off in front of the student section in neutral zone. Billis slides out of the crease to stop it and lets Jeremy walk past. Now to Whitliff, who gives a little sonk and then feeds into the center of the ice. McDonald throws a shot on after it zipped past his stick. Centering right over the pass of Will Jeremy. He sidesteps and posts up at the point. Now to Michelli as Indiana begins the cycle. A quick shot kicked away, right leg saved by Tucker. Bouncing off a skate blade and thrown all the way across as the Wildcats ship it down the river.
I think Michelli wanted to get some elevation on that puck. It just went right into the blocker.
Whitliff, little head fake and gets some space for himself. Feeds to the far side. There's Gustafson entering the zone. Stick handling. Backhanded shot right in front. Poked away. Wildcats defense collapsing pretty well so far. 15 and change to go here in the first. Gustafson right in front. Another backhander. Rolling around turn 2 where Slavin holds onto it. Keeping his eyes up, reverses course. And then feeds to McKay. He had a goal early last night. To Castricani, a shot through traffic. Scores! Nicholas Castricani gets the first goal of the night. It's 1-0 as Indiana draws first blood 2 nights in a row. 14:47 to go in the first frame. And Castricani, who got 1 goal last weekend, adds to his total. And that's 5 on the season.
And right there, we mentioned early on Indiana maybe trying to crowd the crease, create some traffic down there, and Castricani able to sneak that one by on the left side past Allen right there.
So the Hoosiers take a lead in the second game of this 2-game series. A big body hit and going down to the ice. 2 different players. Coskren for the Wildcats was the one who ended up on his wallet. Again, big hand fighting. McDonald finds some space. Shot, and it smacked off the tuchus of a Wildcat skater right in front of the net. Scooped away by Costello and kicked by Hawkins in the center of the ice. He blows a tire, and it's taken off of Null's stick. A quick shot right in front, and a penalty's been called. Delayed call on the ice. And now the Wildcats will have a second chance for a power play.
This might be a penalty shot. I think it is, Sam. We'll see.
Well, Jack Null heads back to the box, and he is less than pleased, Garrett, I think it's fair to say.
They're going to the circle. Indiana dodging a bullet there. It looked like he might have got out in front.
Well, Null had 4 penalty minutes all season entering this weekend and has doubled his yearly total right here, right now. Indiana themselves averaging about 14 minutes worth of penalties per game. And not a big shock, pretty much the same number as last year. Face off with Indiana now down a man, 5-on-4, Juan in front of Billis. Whitliff whooshes through the neutral zone and throws it toward Chambers, who digs in and throws on the brakes in the far corner. Wildcats will set up a predetermined play. Fed into the zone and an offside whistle is blown. So 13:53 to go here in the first, and still a 1-0 score as the Wildcats got a little bit too eager.
Kentucky's still yet to get a shot on goal against Billis here. The defense is held strong. It looks like they've definitely discussed what happened in the game yesterday and tried to make some adjustments as we thought. And so far it's been working out. But they did have the lead yesterday, so they got to keep it up.
Face off on the stick side of Sam Tucker, the Wildcats netminder. Won by the Cats. Big Blue pushing across that blue line in their own side. And a big hammering hit delivered by Tommy McDonald. Warner lofts a puck right into the center of the slot. And a quick shot on, whips over the bar. Billis didn't have a chance to put any leather or stick onto it. Now poked around as the Wildcats will circle the wagons and regroup. Shipped forward by Brett Quinn, but straight into the leg of Leo Warner, who swings it across the blue line again. Little flop shot toward Billis, and the puck zips out and nearly smacks Hagen Wells in the head. One of the backup goalies in the green toque along the bench. He is not thrilled that his boys nearly took him out.
Indiana got a couple fortunate bounces right there that took the puck out of the zone, getting helped out by the rolling puck a little bit here.
Great, they've got this music playing. It makes me think it's the end of the podcast. Face off in the Indiana defensive zone, won by the Wildcats. A shot from traffic. Mulkern couldn't get it on target. Now into the near side corner, where McKay gets smacked on the back and tangles up a rugby scrum as he goes down onto his shin pads. Digging it away is Cortapella. He was in the box for that power play that the Indiana Hoosiers have already had a chance to make. Under 13 minutes to play here in the first period. Indiana up by a single tally thanks to Castricani. Kentucky on the 5-on-4 advantage for just a little bit longer. Entering the zone, there's Naylor. His shot is handled calmly by Billis. The rebound into the far side along the boards. Deflection right in front. A good diving attempt by Naylor. Got to respect the grit there to try and make something happen. Cortapella slings it against the boards. And to the far side, it's fed to LaRue. His wrister never hits the target, and Castricani plays it forward to Simino. Back to Castricani, a backhanded shot. Nearly finds the target, and Tucker did well to save it. Another open ice hit. Friendly fire. Castricani and Raftis hit each other, and now it's Simino who sends a man down to his lap. That's Cortapella on all fours, kicking the puck and then grabbing with his hand for a second. Finally ripped away by Raftis, and Indiana's got an odd man rush. 4-on-2. Raftis a shot. Bounces off a body. Digging in is Tim Burke trying to win the puck back. Raftis, a one-man swing, and he gets a huge hip check. But it's the Wildcat who gets the worst of it. Still can't see who's down behind the play. And the whistle's been blown as that player on the far side is motionless. That's Cortapella. Garrett, that's the third hit on this shift that we've seen him take.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a reverse hit right there. Cortapella came in trying to put a body on Raftis, and he sent him down to the deck pretty easily. Raftis is a big fella, and you don't want to get in his way.
Hits 4-2 in favor of the Hoosiers. And last night it was pretty much the same story. Indiana out-hitting the Wildcats in each frame. So 11.5 to go here in the first period. And Kentucky back to even strength. Fed in front, Quinn watched it slide right past the edge of his tape. DiLorenzo, a little give and go that ends up in Hawkins' stick. Slavin lets it jump off the blade of his stick, and now over to the far side boards. Intercepted, Jeremy kicks it back into the corner. As partial changes will happen for both sides. Whitliff steps up and pinches, but the puck jumps past him. Again centered in. Here comes Amico, a shot. Can't get the follow through, and the shot never gets started. Deflection attempt, but Quinn was stymied on the near side. Whitliff reached out and poked it away. Hawkins jams it forward, and it bounces between Slavin's legs twice. Eastlak working, top shelf score! Four points last night, and he evens the score here tonight. Gabe D'Amico on fire this weekend. Already involved in one. That's 5 out of 6. And Garrett, the crowd is back into this one, although a little bit of a sparse crowd compared to last night.
Yeah, the ones that are here are jumping, and right there, Eastlak thought about saucing it over to the other side, and I think that's what Billis was expecting to happen as well, but he just decided to shoot it himself, faked the pass, and went top shelf.
D'Amico on the goal. That'll be his 15th of the year. Indiana wins the draw, trying to make something happen again on a rush, and the whistle's been blown. The referees have definitely not put themselves at risk of having the whistles freeze in their mouth this game, Garrett.
Let's see what we've got here. Official talking it over with Henry Whitliff, maybe giving him a bit of a warning.
Whitliff, one of the young men recruited to Indiana from Minnesota,
and he's going to get a penalty.
The freshman from Edina. 8 penalty minutes going into the weekend, and now he will add 2 to that total as well. So yet another power play for the Wildcats, and that face-off blown dead immediately. Garrett, I have a sneaking suspicion Indiana may end up on the over in terms of penalty minutes on average.
Oh yeah, no question. Already 3 taken here halfway through the first. Not even.
10:17 to go here in the first frame. And just a reminder, that is an approximate time. Obviously, we cannot see the lone scoreboard in the barn that is below us and to the right. So we're doing what we can to give you guys a good show. So the score, a tally apiece, and a power play for the Wildcats again. Entering the zone offside after a cheeky deflection. Holtz was caught all by himself before Quinn could enter the zone.
The Indiana Killers have been tested early on quite a bit, but they've looked solid. Everybody's staying in their lane, not overplaying passes, and you know when you overplay, it leads to easy shot opportunities, so they've been doing a good job of not doing that so far.
After the draw, Brett Quinn wins it for his boys, the Wildcats. Quinn, a returning player for the Cats, had 3 game-winning goals last year and is not afraid to rough it up. He was ejected against DePaul. Here's Quinn working the circle into the high slot. Eastlak with some space. Shot to the backside. Quinn couldn't get the tape on it and then collects it. Spinning around, finally gets righted. Shot right along parallel to the goal line, and McKay will carry it out of trouble. Under 10 to go. McKay, little dipsy-do, and he gets spun around before absorbing a hit. Some serious trash talking going in both of these games, Garrett. And these guys are very eager to let each other know what's going on.
McKay and Eastlak talking to each other right there as number 2 in black heads to the bench for Indiana.
Still a man advantage for the Wildcats, as it is roulette wheeled all the way from far to near. Punched across by Quinn. He tries to flick it to a teammate, but Warner plays it forward, and Castracani whacks it all the way across. Full change for the Cats. Indiana still with 4 out there. And the puck bobbling around in the far side corner. Big hit as Castracani finishes his check. Garrett, it's been a minute since we've seen a check finished like that. Entering the zone, and another big pile drive of a hit. Delivered on Jack Noel. Tucker decides to hold on to it right next to the crease and then dishes it to a D-man. Still a 5-on-4 as Tucker slaps his stick on the ice to indicate the end of the penalty ensuing. LaRue feeds to the blue line. Shot in by Mulkern, backside. And trying to put some tape on it was Noel. Again, he gets squished. Flopped forward. And sitting on top of the windowsill all the way to the near side, where Hawkins scoops it up and then tries to let O'Flaherty play it. Another big hit. And Timmons gets stood up. Boy, some big hits from big bodies. And it looks like a skater for the Cats, Drew Naylor, is missing his mitt. Here comes Timmons, as it's back to 5-a-side. He enters the zone. One of the D-men that is not afraid to mix it up north of the defensive zone. And it is whooshed all the way across the ice, and the whistle's been blown. Looks like a charge may have been called, Garrett, on the far side.
Or potentially a high stick from Griff. Looks like nobody's going to the box here as of now.
Well, Garrett, that's what's special about our jobs up here. We get to do a little guess and check, just like math in middle school. Being directed to the box is Drew Naylor, the one who lost his mitt just a few moments ago. And he will be escorted by the referee and the box attendant. Will Jeremy in to take the draw for the Hoosiers on the far side. Indiana will be on the power play. And Will Jeremy, the points leader for the team, as well as the goals leader. He had one of each last night, a goal and an assist. Here's Whitliff working the blue line. Deflection by Michelli. Redirects the shot wide. Michelli, a shot punched up away by the shoulder of Tucker. He was able to shrug off that shot. Now to Whitliff again. Through the trees, doesn't hit the target, and off the backboard. Now to Michelli, feeding along the blue line. It is poked free. Jeremy stands his man up, and Billis stops the puck in its tracks where Jeremy swings through and scoops it. McDonald gets it stolen away, and it's flushed out again, giving the Wildcats a chance to regroup on the kill.
And I think this is the most quality looks we've seen Indiana have on the power play this season. They've looked really dialed in.
Jeremy enters the zone. A shot. Good waffle board save by Tucker to push it to the far side. McDonald being harassed on his backhand through the slot. Tries to flip his hips. Now working onto the right side. Right in front. A one-timer, Jeremy. Big save by Tucker again. Still on the power play. 6:20 to go in the first. Just to McDonald. Shot in. Hit somebody in the leg. Jeremy winds up a shot. A good pad save by Tucker yet again, Garrett. He has been coming up clutch in the past minute and a half. 6 and change to go in the first. Tie game 1 apiece. D'Amico the goal scorer for the Cats, and Castricani for Indiana thus far. Michelli mixing it up in the corner. Centering pass. Doesn't find a black sweater. McDonald going down onto one knee, but he can't keep it out of the midst of the Wildcats. Or the claws, I should say, rather, Garrett. And the Wildcats will get a change. Chasing it down into his own corner is Connor Underwood. Now retrieved in the center circles. McKay, who gets spun around a little bit. And we're back to even strength. 5.5 to go in the first period. Castricani gets it in his own zone, gets in the attacking zone after the Wildcats retreated with it. And Garrett, a little bit of a rule book confusion there. It looked like the Wildcats were the ones who re-entered the defensive third. What did you see on that play that we might not have?
I saw them play the puck in the zone pretty blatantly, and by rule that shouldn't be called offsides. Nobody from Indiana nobody from Indiana touched the puck before it entered the zone, so that should have been where you play on, but the officials saw it differently.
I remember a weird situation like that in the NHL playoffs. I believe it was the Oilers or the Flames, potentially, with one of those weird kicks along the blue line. Either way, 5:18 to go, and Indiana may have themselves a power play yet again.
Eastlack going to the box here. That's huge for Indiana as well.
Third power play for the Hoosiers in this first period after barely getting any looks with an extra man last night.
And I know they didn't score on the last one, but they looked really solid. They had the puck in the offensive zone virtually the entire time, and they got quite a few shots on goal, up to 9 in the game now.
9-5 now that you mention it, Garrett. The face-off on the far side. Lost by Castricani, but regrouped along the center line. Stolen by D'Amico. Quick shot. Billis is able to make a good stick save. He was all by himself. Now McKay pushes the puck against the wood, and it's Castricani regrouping and trying to let the receivers go long. Now he does start the attack. Yelling mush, here comes the cavalry. Castricani a shot to the backside. Gustafson a one-timer, doesn't quite find it. Now to Di Lorenzo on the far boards. McKay working the high slot, surveys the field. Now to Di Lorenzo again at the circle. Shot to the backside. Castricani can't regroup in time. Gustafson along the goal line. To D'Lo outside the circle. McKay trying to get to the backside again for the one-timer, but Gustafson was not in position. Again, quick angle. Sharp angle shot. Castricani another one. Bounces right in front of the crease and wobbles past the bar. Slavin again at the circle. Now to McKay at the blue line. Really working it now. Slavin a shot. Gloved skillfully by Tucker with a man in his face and a goalie screen. That had to have made it a difficult save. 4:12 to go here in the first.
This Indiana power play is buzzing, Sam.
Absolutely, Garrett.
They just got 4 shots on that.
This is probably the best we've seen them look in a goodly bit.
Very important for them to win the draw here. Try to keep it going.
Draw won by Indiana, still on the power play and still on the attack. Errant pass off the boards by McDonald is taken away and slung into the corner by Supan. Supan was active last night.
Oh,
and a turnover right in front. LaRue's pass trying to go to Cortapella. And again, the Wildcats steal it away and try to kill off some more time. Air mailed into the corner on the near side. Whitliff chopping at it. Doing some hand-to-hand combat with LaRue. Now fed forward to McDonald. He swivels around a Wildcat in a white sweater and now enters the zone by himself. Tries to leave it in front of Flaherty. Can't get a stick on it. Michelli chopping. And again, sent all the way across where Billis will have to slide out of the paint. He slaps it against the boards on the near side. And still on the power play, Indiana trying to get one last attack mounted. Bobbles end, a ground ball ricocheting right in front. Raftis gets stood up, trying to make a little deflection move. To McDonald, who feeds to Hawkins at the point. Through traffic, gloved again by Tucker over his head. If he hadn't had his leather there, that would have whizzed past his eyeballs and into the back of the cage.
Not to mention T-Mac bringing the puck up. He took a slash that we could hear all the way up here. Pretty blatant whack with the stick. No call, though.
Well, anytime you go on the road in the TSCHL, you better expect to fight it, and this is no different. Kentucky Wildcats fans not as loud as we've expected in previous times, but they are making their voice heard now as Tommy McDonald has been sent to the showers. The sophomore was ejected from 5 games last year, and it looks like he has been given his walking papers in Game 2 tonight. We'll have to wait for a call on the ice, and it could be Nano Arana serving this penalty as one of the leaders of this team. A vice president on the executive board, Drew Michelli, is having a discussion with one of the referees and now asking the referee to speak directly to Coach Weiss himself. Garrett, did you see what McDonald did or what happened to cause such a reaction by the referees?
No, I did not see what happened, and we'll see if it was worthy of an ejection when we review the footage, but
well, it seems it was a spearing that necessitated a game misconduct. And we'll have to see if he gets a DQ, which would be like a red card in soccer. You'd have to mix the next match. A new rule implemented this year in the ACHA, to our understanding. So the Wildcats have an extra man out there this time. Working the boards in front of the fans. Thrown in front, a centering shot by Eastlack. A little bit of a shot looking for a deflection more than the target. Castricani. Little Toey at the blue line, now racing forward, odd man rush. Castricani throws a shot on. Right off the bar and out of play into the netting behind the cage. Clock stopping at 2.5 to go.
So this is going to be a 5-minute kill here for Indiana.
So it'll be a nickel up on the board. A felony offense, if you will, Garrett. Wildcats win the draw in their own end and will set up shop. Fed to the far side, Eastlack, backhanded, tries to feather it to a white sweater, and instead the attack is stymied temporarily. Indiana trying to collapse onto the puck before Wildcats can get a breakout going. Now zipping across the zone is D'Amico. He's already got one tonight. He gets banged into the boards by his fellow number 9 wearer, Andrew Chambers. 2 and change to go in this first frame. 1-1 the score. D'Amico for the Wildcats and Castricani for Indiana. Puck lofts up and out of play, and Leo Warner knocks it across the outfield fence into his own bench. And that'll freeze the clock at just a few ticks over 2 to go.
Indiana's going to have to play conservative here, Sam, knowing that they virtually have to kill off 2.5 regular penalties. 5 minutes total. It's going to be a long few minutes here for them.
Well, we've seen Indiana do some strange things when they are down for 5 minutes. 3 shorthanded goals, not all of them on a 5-minute major situation, but one of them was. Timmons charging into the boards and trying to give a fellow defenseman a chance to make a play. McKay gets smacked around and spun. Now working the point in front of the Indiana bench. Fed to Cortapella, right from Noel. To the high slot, Mulkern. Billis trying to avoid the goalie screen. A second chance right into Billis' chest. And it somehow gets whacked all the way across the sheet. And Indiana will get a much-needed change with 90 seconds remaining in this period. Billis was up to his eyeballs in white sweaters with a goalie screen in both directions at one point. Here comes Raftis, tries to zip it around, but stepping in front of it was Noel. He throws it to the backside, not adjusted to the shot. LaRue couldn't angle himself properly. Again, toilet bowled from far to near. A one-timer, he whiffs. That was LaRue, and it pops up into the air again. A jump ball at the dot on the near side. And Hawkins trying to fish it away. Pinned up against the boards. That was Raftis smacking his man around. A shot right into the front shin of Hawkins and an odd man rush. Hawkins with Castricani on the far side. Hawkins, he shot. Back off the shoulder. Backhanded shot, and Tucker's able to hold the line and hug that post. So we are under a minute to play, just about 45 seconds. And Garrett, that's one of those weird, shorthanded, odd man rushes that Indiana is able to generate once in a while that you don't usually see.
Yeah, and we've seen opponents this year have some breakdowns while on the power play against Indiana. They try to come up too far, and then the puck takes an odd bounce off the boards, and the Hoosiers go the other way.
Whitliff collects after the draw won by Indiana on the attacking side of the action. D-to-D pass as Warner plays pitch and catch with Whitliff. And rushing in to try and chase it down is Slavin. All by himself, shrugs off a hit, steps into the boards, and then gets stepped into by a Wildcat. Behind Tucker, here comes Kentucky. D'Amico zigzags and does a little weave between his own man. Bounces along Eastlak, he gets punched into the boards. Slavin puts his stick between his legs, and the puck flutters into the crease, past the crease. Eastlak along the goal line, it hits the referee at the ankle, looks to be all right. Slavin collects it, and that's how this first period will come to a close. So on a major power play for the Wildcats, they are rendered attackless through the first few minutes of that one. Tommy McDonald being sent to the showers tonight. And the Hoosiers and Wildcats are stuck at a tally apiece after 20 minutes. Garrett, shots on goal in this first frame, 16-8. A dominating offensive attack by Indiana, although the scoreboard that counts doesn't reflect that.
Yeah, and Sam, we talked about the discipline before the game. It's already been an issue early on, given lots of power play opportunities to the Wildcats, and they can't keep doing that for these next couple periods.
Well, we'll send it to a quick break, and in the intermission, our sidekick and right-hand man, Andrew Goose, will have the intermission show to give you a recap on the scores around the TSCHL as well as the other stats and figures from this first frame. Alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Wexler from the Lexington Ice Center. I'll see you in the third.
Welcome back to the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. I'm Andrew Gus, joined alongside Garrett Drake for the first intermission report. Garrett, we saw a much better period from the Hoosiers than we saw last night in the first frame. We outshot Kentucky 16-8, and we outhit them 9-5, though we were a few shy of the faceoffs. We did a great job keeping involved in the game. What did we do tonight that looked a lot better than last night in the first frame?
Yeah, the power play looked a lot better. You can tell that adjustments were made, and they got, I think, 8 or 9 shots on the power play alone, and they had 16 in the whole period, so about half of their opportunities coming on the man advantage, and they only had about 3. So I liked what I saw from the power play unit, but the penalties still a big issue. They're putting the Killers in a rough spot, and Sammy Billis as well.
Sure thing. There's been a lot of stupid hockey, you could say, as the Hoosiers have just not been very disciplined in their own zone, especially taking those extra hits that just are not necessary. You get back in the zone, back check a little harder, rather than making an extra hit to make the play. But overall, I thought that we did a great job. I did not see too many odd man rushes. There were a few turnovers. I believe I counted 2, which is actually a lot better than last night in the first frame. So stopping those turnovers and just keeping the puck on the opposite side of the zone, what's that do if you're a Hoosier?
Yeah, it gives them more opportunities to go the other way, like you mentioned, and I liked how they were putting more bodies down in the crease as well, giving Sammy some protection, blocking some shots, and it even led him to get a couple breakaways that we saw while they were shorthanded. So it's kind of funny. We've seen that happen a few times with them this year on the penalty kill, being able to get a 2-on-1 or 3-on-2 the other way. So we'll see if they can get another one of those trying to kill off this major.
Yeah, speaking of that major, Tommy McDonald got a 5 in a game for embellishment. Not embellishment, I apologize. Spearing, rather. And he got tossed from the game. So that'll be a major loss to the Hoosiers. He always brings a lot of energy. We saw him score last night with 3 minutes left in the game and got a lot of energy when you thought we were down by 2 goals. So the Hoosiers are going to have to kill it off for a few minutes here and get back on track. But we should see a lot more to come here in period 2. I'll join Garrett and I will both be back for period 2 in just a few short moments.
And we're back for the start of period number 2 from the Lexington Ice Center here at the University of Kentucky. Garrett Drake alongside Andrew Gus for the second period of action, as the opening draw is won by Indiana. Chambers backhands that one all the way back down behind the net, where it's taken there by the goalie Sam Tucker and left off for a teammate. Chambers picks that one off in the offensive zone, and Brandenburg got a shot on, but it was blocked. Now Chambers with it again. They'll ring that all the way around, but nobody is there for Indiana, as they're still trying to kill off the 5-minute major taken by Tommy McDonald. Brandenburg gets a shot on there that's paddled away by Tucker.
I feel like Leo Warner is always the one that does this too, but when they're a man down, he always goes back towards the other blue line, and he finds the puck, kills off at least 10 seconds every time. That's a great job by Warner. I love the heads-up play there.
Every second counts when you've got 5 minutes up there, and Indiana so far has done a good job just chopping away at it. Castricani took a hit up towards the head area. Coming up the ice now for Kentucky is Brett Quinn. Cross-ice pass, a shot sent on by D'Amico, and a save made by Billis. Got to watch out for Gabe D'Amico if you're Indiana.
Yeah, we've seen 4 goals so far in 4 periods, which if he keeps that up, he'll have 2 more by the end of the night. That's not what you're going to want to see if you're a Hoosier fan or Sammy Billis.
Indiana wins the draw in their own zone, but the puck goes back to Kentucky near the blue line. Mulkern sends that one over. And a cross-ice pass, they had the one-time opportunity set up, but it was fumbled on the far side by Koskren. Mulkern has that one blocked out in front, and it goes to the corner. Timmons unable to get the puck out of the zone, so Kentucky still sets up, and Indiana might have numbers the other way here. They'll settle for a line change instead, as Semino just wraps around and takes it back out. Or he thought about doing that, but lost possession. Right out front, that one got kicked away in front of Tucker there, a near scoring opportunity for the Hoosiers. They've been knocking on the door a couple times when they get close down there.
They're getting close. You're right about that. And they were able to kill off that penalty there. Back to 5-on-5.
Brandenburg unable to hold the zone, so now the Kentucky goes the other way, and we get a stoppage out in front with roughly 17:43 remaining in the second. It's been a hot start to this period for both teams. They've been going up and down like crazy.
And gee, another thing to notice so far tonight, the officials have been much more on point. As last night they're a little more lenient. We've got a different crew tonight here, and they've been blowing everything down. There's been a lot less extra whistle curriculars, and it's just been a lot less physical, I think, after the whistle. So that's something to note for sure.
And during the intermission, we saw Konstantinos Raftis getting his shoulder taped up, and he is doubtful to return with that shoulder injury. Once they get the ice pack on, a shot sent on, blocked out in front by Brandenburg. That was Jeremy. And Leo Warner able to chase the puck down at the other side and stop the Kentucky rush. So Tinos Raftis doubtful to return with a shoulder.
And with McDonald gone, that's 2 forwards there. Looking to see maybe 4 lines with 3 centers or something like that.
Whitliff sends one over. That one goes all the way down to Tucker, and he's going to freeze it, as one of his teammates instructs him to. We get a stoppage at 17 minutes on the dot. 3 minutes into period number 2. Indiana already with 4 shots. A couple of them came while they were still shorthanded as well.
It's some Halloween Oregon, G. Notice that it's almost pumpkin season. And a spooky midnight game here in Kentucky.
The Adams Family theme getting blasted out through the Lexington Ice Center here. Gotta love that. Getting the holiday spirit. A big hit on the boards by DiLorenzo. Now swooping in and taking a shot on Billis. It's blocked out front. A nice play off a Costello ripper. Now D'Lo coming back the other way. That one gets paddled out, and Timmons blows a tire. Coming in is going to be Rule, and he shoots one. Billis is out there. Puck still loose. Billis coming out of the crease to make a couple saves on the Wildcats. And a turnover. Billis gobbles that one up again off a shot by Costello. He let a couple fly in that sequence there, did Colin Costello, but Sammy Billis held strong.
Definitely a little bit of a risky play there again. Close to one of those odd man rushes. Luckily, we had a defender back there holding it back to a one-on-one, but still, those risky plays like that are what really kills you at the end.
Kentucky wins the face-off. That shot never reached the net as it's taken back in and played by Mulkern. Nice block as Chambers goes to a knee there. And Michelli chasing after that one, but he got cut off. Now Chambers with possession, over to Michelli. He chases into the corner, backhander pass goes over, but it's taken there by Dean Cortapella. And we got a penalty here. It looks like it's going to go on Whitliff as he dragged his man down.
One of those undisciplined plays right there.
And they're going to get him for a hook. So Henry Whitliff goes to the box for Indiana, putting Kentucky back on the man advantage. It appears so, at least. We might get a 4-on-4.
Now it looks like they got one of the Kentucky guys for holding there. 4-on-4 we'll have for 2 minutes here.
All right. That fares better for Indiana. They have had some success when each team is down a man. McKay plays that one around to Griffin Timmons. Now we've got another delayed call here, and it's going to go against Kentucky. They might get him for boarding, it looks like. It's going to be a trip against McKay. Or on McKay, rather. He was the victim of that crime.
Okay, Eastlack will go sit for 2, and a 4-on-3 the Hoosiers will have for probably about a minute 50 or so. We'll see if they can work any magic here. Gustafson and Chambers both on offense. They'll send Will Jeremy and Leo Warner out. So this is a dangerous 4 right here. There could be a lot of offense we'll see here.
3 forwards on the ice for Indiana. Leo Warner, the lone defenseman. As Billis stops that one and kicks it over. We've got 4-on-3 hockey. And we definitely haven't seen this a whole lot. Gustafson plays that one up to Warner at the blue line. Back to Gustafson. He shoots one that gets blocked away by Tucker. And they exit the zone. Good first possession for Indiana right there, though, getting a shot on goal. Jeremy tried putting on the brakes, but he looked like he slipped a little bit. Calling for the puck is Gustafson. And he keeps it in. Gustafson has that one blocked out in front. Mulkern dropped down to a knee. Now Gustafson does a wraparound, shoots one right in the chest of Tucker. It's still out there, and he tried lifting it over, and Tucker made a couple saves. Now out front, that one blocked high and deflected up near us into the netting. Indiana putting the pressure on there. They got a couple good looks from Gustafson way up close.
And Will Jeremy, very lucky there to have 2 skates on his feet, able to play some good footwork, able to hold the puck in the zone, because we nearly saw a 2-on-0 the other way, which really would have been dangerous when you're a man on 4-on-3. So good job there by Germs holding the line.
Castracani wins the draw at the blue line, taken by Timmons. Slavin finds Castracani. He circles around to the near dot. Pushing and shoving going on down low with DiLorenzo. A shot by Castricani gets blocked out in front. Connor Underwood putting the body on him down there. Near the blue line. Timmons tried a one-timer, but he didn't get all of it. And it looks like the net came off its post, so that's the reason for the stoppage with 13:41 remaining in the second. And time winding down on this power play for Indiana. DiLorenzo over to Timmons. Underwood gets that puck out and it's taken back in by Timmons. DiLorenzo rips one to deflection, they score! DiLorenzo from the blue line. It looked like it might have got deflected out front, but D'Lo is saying that that one went straight in. Ethan DiLorenzo puts Indiana on top 2-1. It's a power play goal for the Hoosiers, their second of the game. And a couple big goalie screens out front. Luke Slavin was hanging out right by the crease, and that played a big factor in blocking the vision of Tucker.
Yeah, having Slavin, 6'2", 205 pounds in front of you, that's really tough to see. And an absolute rocket from the point, right to the back post. Nice shot there by D'Lo. Also, G, not to mention, Hoosiers stepping up their power play numbers a little bit tonight. Both of their goals have come on power plays tonight, and that's a good recipe you'd hope for as the rest of the season progresses.
Absolutely. Lots of positives in this second game so far for Indiana. However, their lead is only 1, so they still have some work to do if they want to get out of Lexington with a victory. Whitliff has that one blocked away. And now they find Eastlack leaking out into the zone, and he gets tripped up. A big hit by Whitliff as he took his feet out from under him. Or excuse me, that was Leo Warner. Whitliff was on the other side there.
Eastlack with some real frustration tonight. He's been popped a few times. It just does not seem too happy.
Simoneau did a nice job taking that puck away, and then Chambers finds it. They tried crossing one over to Michelli, and we're going to get another penalty going against Kentucky, I believe. Thought I heard him say white something, a white and then a number, but maybe not.
I think it might have been white, no change, as the goalie knocked
No
the
change,
pegs
yep.
off the post.
You got it.
Giving them no chance to change here.
Making sure nobody tries to pull a fast one. Getting back onto the ice here.
Some chemistry going on in front of us, trying to let the cold water sink in with the cold ice and make that net stick there a little better with the metal.
Chambers' stick goes flying way up into the air. And it's going to be a penalty on Kentucky, I believe. Yep.
You love to see it. Kentucky taking a lot of penalties tonight. That was knocking the stick out of Chambers' hand and it nearly hit the ceiling.
It's
going to be another power play.
It's going to be Kyle Burke going to the box for Kentucky here. And Jeremy wins the faceoff in the offensive zone. Whitliff trying to find an opening. Whitliff from the blue line, deflection, they score! Drew Michelli batted that one out of the air. Tucker wants a high stick, but this one is going to count. A deflection from Michelli's stick off the crossbar. And Indiana with 3 power play goals, boosting that percentage as we mentioned, Andrew, and it's now 3-1.
And how about a bar down, too? Nice little ring there for your ears. Yeah, you're right about that, though. 3 power play goals tonight for the Hoosiers. I believe that's the most they've had all year long on power plays. And great job for them capitalizing on the man advantages tonight.
Indiana now having their largest lead of this 2-game series at 2. They did lead 1-0 yesterday, but that was it. They've got a different kind of swagger when they're in those black jerseys, it seems.
Yeah, you're right about that. And speaking of swagger, we've not seen much noise from that crowd since the Hoosiers came back out on the ice and they were getting booed. So they've done a great job, and it seems like tonight they're playing their game, which they seem a lot more comfortable with, and they just look like themselves, which is great to see.
Bodies colliding in the corner as the puck finds the stick of Colin Holtz right there. Now wrapping around, Holtz backhands that one towards the net. Hawkins took a couple whacks at it, and into the boards goes O'Flaherty, kicking it to Knoll. And now Jack Knoll able to flip it up, but it's gloved down and kept in the zone. A nice play made by Kentucky, Brett Quinn right there. And finally, that one looks like it was kept in. A nice play by Holtz. Just when you think Indiana's about to escape. Out front, they had a one-time opportunity that went wide. That one was taken by Tyler Koskren, and we get a whistle. Pushing and shoving after the play. Emilio Arana. Nano not liking what he saw there.
I'm seeing his frustration there. It looks like
official was telling him to let it go.
It was offsides. I mean, the other guy just shot the puck right at him. I mean, after the whistle blew, that was pretty blatant to me. He gave a little shove, and that extra shove normally does it, but I think because the puck got shot at him, he snuck away from that one. But the referees tonight, as we said, they've been calling everything, so they're going by the textbook tonight, and you got to play by the textbook if you want to stay out of the box. Kentucky showed that.
Face-off won by the Wildcats as they just try to gain the zone, and Leo Warner has other ideas. It's kept in at the blue line. Deflection goes wide of the net. And we get a whistle with 10:55 remaining.
Seems to be a high stick there on Kentucky that should go all the way down the ice, I believe, in favor of the Hoosiers.
Looks like they're going to line it up in the neutral zone as of now.
Yep, I was wrong.
It did look like a high stick, though.
No, I didn't think so either, but
the only other thing I could think of was a potential offsides. Jeremy swooping his way in. He gets that one poked away. And a nice play by DiLorenzo to hold the zone, but it gets past Warner. About halfway through the second period here, Indiana has built themselves a 3-1 lead. Now Whitliff getting into it behind the play, and he's going to get a penalty here, and we get another Kentucky acting job. And now Whitliff gets decked. I tell you what, we've seen a lot of flopping from Kentucky.
yeah, we really have.
And I'm not trying to be biased at all, but I'm just saying it how I see it. He dropped like a sack of potatoes and got up immediately. So the officials will try to sort things out. This might be a long discussion. We'll see what the final verdict is, but I really don't know what we're going to get out of this.
Now, what I imagine is it will most likely be a coincidental, as Whitliff initially started it, but the teammate of Kentucky that got knocked down came right back and did the exact same thing to Whitliff. So,
And knocked down is a stretch.
just a hypothesis, we'll call it, an educated guess, yeah. You saw a push and then a fish flop, I think we could call that.
Yeah, a dolphin dive.
That's pretty NBA-like, you know. Rub a shoulder and act like you got hit by a train. Still discussing.
The PA announcer stating we have multiple penalties, which I think we could have guessed was coming. So they gave Whitliff a double deuce. It sounds like 2 minors.
I'm assuming that's going to be Whitliff.
It sounds like each side had the same amount of
Yeah,
penalties.
they said 4 on 4, so maybe they got one for embellishment there and then one for the cross-check. That would make sense and line up penalty-wise. And Whitliff for cross-check, double minor. And Coach Weiss is off of the bench and fully on the door talking to the ref up in his face, so they're just trying to get a clear explanation.
We've had about a 5-minute delay here, trying to get everybody disciplined properly.
And what's it over? Post whistle fun, huh? How about that, G? Just as I complimented the refs for breaking things down, that was the players who went right back at it after the whistle and made the referees do some real work. And yes, it looks like
It's going to be a 4-on-4. No, Kentucky.
5 on 4, huh?
So Kentucky has a power play.
5 on 4, Kentucky.
So Indiana must have just had one more penalty. It sounded like maybe they gave 3 to the Hoosiers and 2 to Kentucky. So the Wildcats go to work on the man advantage. Already in the offensive zone. Bodies hit the deck and a nice clearance made there. Aiden Semino getting the puck out. And it goes all the way to the Wildcat net. D'Amico plays that one over to Eastlack. The 2 leading scorers for this Kentucky team. Out front, they missed a one-time opportunity as Brett Quinn was swooping in on the far side. Unable to get a stick on it. Nice clear by Timmons. Indiana eating away at that penalty. Castricani putting some pressure on. Now he'll back off. D'Amico gains the zone. Tried bouncing one off the boards to himself, then ends up going behind the net, and he gets checked by Warner. The Indiana penalty kill flying around the ice, not leaving any open lanes so far. Billis makes the save there. Kentucky able to keep it in. Quinn into the corner. They tried a deflection out front. And they're getting awfully close to Billis down there.
A bouncy puck there might have saved the Hoosiers from their D'Amico goal.
Hawkins gets pushed to the ground. Now a cross ice pass misses the stick of Quinn. But they're able to hold it in. Now they have to retreat. 8 minutes and 43 seconds on our game clock remaining in the second. And they clear. And the penalty over. A nice job by the PK unit. Back to even we go. Nifty moves made there by Koskren, but he loses possession. Out front, a nice job by the Indiana defense collapsing on it. That was Andrew Chambers making the play. Jeremy looking for a teammate. Out front, DiLorenzo gets checked away, and Brandenburg takes a whack at it. Chasing it down is Slavin now. He gets pushed into the boards from behind and pinned there by Underwood. DiLorenzo. Underwood whiffs on that one, and the puck was kept in momentarily, but now exits the zone. A little bit of back and forth action going on here with 7.5 to go. Brandenburg rings that one around. Timmons takes a whack at it, but it ends up going to Kentucky. Centering pass, and Billis able to make the save from point blank range, putting a little bit of pressure on him there. They let D'Amico get closer than they would have liked.
11-8, the Hoosiers still outshooting the Kentucky Wildcats so far and outscoring them 3-1 so far on the board as it reads, G. A few more minutes this period and then get back to the room and get back to work. That's what they got to do.
Hawkins pinning his man against the boards behind the net, and he whacks the puck out of there. Looking for a man out front. That was Burke Rule down there, but he got it knocked away. Underwood loses it. Here comes Timmons. He gains the zone. Shoots one right into the chest of Tucker, and we get a whistle. Indiana already with 12 shots in the period compared to 7 for Kentucky. The hits have evened out a little bit, Andrew, and Indiana still has the slight edge, but you just like to see the fact that they're taking initiative and not getting pushed around. Brandenburg, that one was deflected as well, and a rolling puck nearly found the back of the net. Brandenburg, that one again gets gloved down by Tucker there. Brandy takes another whack at it, and off the board it goes. That one flipped up by Burke. And it's going to be offsides. They caught Brandenburg sneaking into the zone there. Hawkins hits the deck, and that puck deflected up and out of play.
Speaking of up and out of play, G, we've not seen any pucks fly out of the ballpark tonight like we did last night. We saw quite a few souvenirs and none that have exited the area where the fans are sitting.
They were getting dispersed all around the yard in the game yesterday. We even had a couple close calls up here on our little perch by the goal horn. Fortunately, we've only had one Kentucky goal tonight. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, I'll tell you, here in person, that loud horn really tests your eardrums quite a bit.
Chambers has that pass blocked away. Tim Burke stepped in front of the passing lane, and now D'Amico flips that one way up into the air. Bounces it about center ice, and Chambers gains possession. Five and a half minutes to go here in period number 2. Indiana still leading 3-1. Chasing after the puck is Whitliff, but he's going to lose the race as it's taken by Burke. D'Amico finds Eastlack. Eastlack rips one that gets deflected high and up over the crossbar. Shot sent on and saved by Billis. Alec Rakitic let that one fly right into the chest of Sammy. Kentucky wins the faceoff and they try shooting right off of it. That one was off the stick of Naylor, but it's deflected up high and over the net. Trying to generate some quick offense there. Indiana able to control with O'Flaherty. And they're forced to exit the zone. Hawkins flips that one to center ice, taken by Castricani. Stick gets caught in Castricani's arms there as Holtz lost his twig. Again, they get tangled up, and now they both hit the deck. We get a whistle here, and we'll see if there's any punishment made.
I don't know if I'm fully in agreement with that call there. It's a head scratcher for sure. But you just got to take it and try to kill off these 2 minutes. Castricani got tied up there with a man at center ice, and I don't know, that tangle just kind of made both of them fall down, so.
D'Amico carries the puck in, leaves it off for Eastlack. That one gets deflected by Timmons, but D'Amico gloves it down. Kentucky is on the man advantage now. A shot and a score! Gary Eastlack with the power play goal there. His second of the game, and he makes it 3-2. Just like that, another penalty leads to a Kentucky goal, and Indiana's lead is cut to 1. They just got to try to help themselves a little bit more, Andrew, and stay out of the box.
Yeah, penalties always seem to kill the Hoosiers.
Underwood runs into a couple bodies. Now Jeremy with it. They find DiLorenzo.
One of the problems last night, we've seen a little bit tonight too. The Hoosiers' shot selections have just not been great. They've been firing quite a few towards the shin guards and just off the net completely. That's really not good.
Brett Quinn and D'Amico picked up the assists on that Kentucky goal. A shot by DiLorenzo goes right into Tucker. So it's another point for number 9 in white as he picked up the secondary assist on that one. Continuing to rack up the totals. Off the face-off, Michelli has that shot go wide on him. Final 3 minutes of play in period number 2. Indiana leading by a goal. Chambers plays that one behind the net. Taken in by Timmons. Slap shot from the blue line, taken there by Tim Burke, but it goes wide, deflected by Billis. Simino runs into 3 Wildcats, and he's forced to give the puck away. Castricani gets pushed off the puck and taken down. That was LaRue laying into him. Now we're down to 2 minutes remaining. LaRue gets laid out by Whitliff. Another bruising hit made by Indiana. They've got 14 of them in this second period. Warner dodging and deking through defenders. Plays that one off the boards. Whitliff back over to Castricane. He gets banged into the glass. And now bringing the puck in, and he tried to backhand shovel it off the shoulder, but Tucker was there. Now a slap shot sent on that goes wide. A minute and change to go here in the second. Indiana trying to give themselves a cushion. Arana centers one. Shot by Whitliff, they score! Henry Whitliff off a feed from the corner from Emiliano Arana has put Indiana back up by 2. And it's the third goal of the period for the Hoosiers. 6th of the season for Henry Whitliff.
And Whitliff, just great job all along that shift there. Started off with physicality and a few nice hits. I mean, this might be crazy, but you might want to start calling him Henry Hitliff, the amount of times he's been hitting people out there, laying the body, and then goes there and finishes his shift off by plugging one back in the cage and putting the Hoosiers up by 2. Great shift by Henry Whitliff there.
Well, Goose, that Hitliff name might stick, and I think we found ourselves a new graphic idea for next week. Gonna have to get the graphics department on that. So we're now under a minute of play remaining as they center one for Eastlack, and he gets muscled off the puck. We've got a whistle.
I believe Billis's cage came off the pegs. Some Werewolf of London in the background. Now, 1:30 on Sunday morning. Can't get much better than that.
DiLorenzo crosses one that gets knocked away. Slavin gains the zone, and then they give it back away. We're at about 10 seconds remaining here, estimated time. D'Amico dodges a hit and plays that one off the boards. And the buzzer sounds as Eastlack lets that one go. So Indiana is going to head into the final 20 minutes of this series with a 2-goal lead. Goose, we saw a lot of good things from that period, but the Indiana power play really stuck out.
Yeah, you're right about that. 18 shots for the Hoosiers to 11 for Kentucky, and the Hoosiers hit them 14 to 11 as well. The face-offs nearly identical. Great job there, though, by the Hoosiers, capitalizing on those power play opportunities, getting more pucks in deep, and playing with energy tonight, something they did not do last evening.
All right, we'll be back with the intermission report in just a minute or two here, so don't go anywhere. Sam Wexler will be back on the play-by-play for the third, and you've been watching Indiana Hockey on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
I'm Andrew Gus, joined alongside Garrett Drake for intermission number 2. The Hoosiers now with a 4-2 lead over Kentucky. Great sign and great looks for the Hoosiers there. Total shots there, 18-11. Total hits, 14-11. The Hoosiers dominating in both aspects. Not to mention 15 out of 26 face-offs. The Hoosiers won that. Hoosiers. Keep talking about that. Story of the night so far. What do they got to do for period 3 to close out this series to go 1-1?
Yeah, and first off, I want to talk about how big that goal that Wildcats scored at the end of the period was for this team, because they had a 2-goal lead for the majority of the time, and they felt like they really earned the chance to go to the locker room up by 2. They gave up the goal to Eastlack, his second of the game as well on the power play, and then again, a goal for Kentucky coming off a penalty, something we talked about. Indiana's got to try to limit their mistakes. The referees aren't making it easy on them, but they got to adjust to how the game's being called. And then the goal by Wildcats was incredible, and they're up 2. Couldn't be in a better spot.
We've seen a few more silly mistakes from the Hoosiers getting sent to the box, but with 20 minutes left, hopefully they stay out as much as possible. And if Kentucky wants to keep playing, putting themselves in trouble and danger, by all means, go for it. The Hoosiers have already made 3 power plays goals tonight, and I'm sure if they get another one, they'd love to capitalize on that as well. So with 20 minutes left, the Hoosiers are going to have to at least hold this lead. They don't need any more goals to win this, but they definitely can't let up any more than 2 if they want to make sure they win this. I'm Andrew Gus, joined alongside Garrett Drake. I'll send it back to Garrett and Sam Weixler for period 3 once the Zambonis finish cleaning off the ice.
40 minutes down, 20 to play in regulation between the Hoosiers of Indiana University and the Wildcats of the University of Kentucky. The Hoosiers stayed in the Bluegrass State doing battle in the second game of this two-game series for TSCHL points. Alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Weixler, your play-by-play broadcaster. And Garrett, this is going to be a very big period for Indiana if they want to seal the deal and make sure they are able to close out this two-game set with at least one win and a split.
They put themselves in a good position to do that, up 4-2 heading into the third. 2-goal lead, 20 minutes remaining. You'll take that with Sammy Billis in net. But they've still got work to do ahead of them, and there's only one way to find out what happens.
Well, both goals for the Wildcats scored by Eastlack, as it is 4-2 in favor of Indiana. Looking at the upcoming schedule for the Hoosiers, next weekend, a home-and-home against the Louisville Cardinals, followed by a set against Xavier in the same manner. And then a road trip to the Windy City. DePaul will host the Hoosiers for 2 games on the 18th and 19th of this month. But never looking too far in the future, Indiana and Kentucky back on the sheet. The Hoosiers in black and red, and the Wildcats in white and blue. The Big Blue students and fans are thinning out just a little bit from what they were in the first period, but alas, play continues, and the boys are ready to go. Indiana up by a pair as Kentucky immediately on the attack. Ricocheted off the skate blade of Griffin Timmons, and he pokes it to himself off the wall in front of his own bench, looking up, putting his shoulders down and absorbing a big hit. It was ripped away from him off the stick of Costello. Stepping into the play was Hawkins and feeding it to Slavin, who shoulders off a man. Retreating into his own zone, that's Koskren. Puck gets tipped up and out of play, and the clock will stop with about 40 seconds having been played in the final frame of regulation.
Indiana's got to keep the pedal to the metal here. They've had a high shot count in the first 2 periods so far. They got to keep being aggressive and letting them rip.
Puck rolls into the far side corner, and Whitliff scoops it around, going to the near. Runs a 3-man weave and whisks it forward to Aiden Simino, who watches it roll into the corner. Simino finishes the check on Tim Burke, the older brother of the 2 Burks. A lot of family ties on this team for the Wildcats. The Burks are brothers, and the Quins are cousins, Garrett. You always got to make sure when you're a broadcaster to ask whether it's brothers or cousins or something like that. And it's a good thing that we did ask.
Or not related at all. Same last name.
Well, there's plenty of Smiths out there. Face off on the far side of the sheet, 18:52 to go here in the third. Crooked number for the Wildcats. And the shot off the face-off, punched out of the air by Tucker into the corner. Simino throws on the brakes and throws an elbow into Burke. The younger Burke, that is. Kyle Burke was an all-state defenseman in Illinois for Glenbrook North. A very attack-minded defenseman, and was the captain of the team as well. Whitliff retreating and swivels around the cage. Billis staying put, confident in his D-men, as Indiana sets up the attack. Still, they're trying to line up the play. Pass right past Castricani's feet. He never saw it coming, and icing will be waved as Indiana tried to set up an attack, but Garrett looked like they couldn't get the guys on the line of scrimmage, so to speak.
Yeah, and Whitliff was just hanging out behind the net there. No pressure being applied by Kentucky. Unfortunate to take an icing in that scenario.
So the face-off will take place on the stick side of Billis in the Kentucky attacking third. Warner gets it poked away from him. D'Amico, a shot right into the glove of Billis, and calmly handled with 18:06 to go here in the third. IU goal scoring has been in bunches by plenty of different guys. And this year, Jeremy leading the charge once again. Close behind him, McDonald, DiLorenzo, Whitliff, and a handful of other guys who are making their presence felt. Puck spins like a top in the Indiana zone right along the blue line. Castricani swings his stick along the ice, but can't poke it free. Centering pass right in front, chopped at by Brett Quinn, and he corrals it in the corner. Outside the circle, fed to the end zone. D'Amico, a centering pass. poked away by Gustafson, who came back to help out D. Hawkins soccers it against the boards. And then a big hit along the blue line here. Gustafson, one-on-one, has a man to the far side. That's Arana. Arana feigns a shot and lets Gusty take it. Nano is feeling some pain back there. Centering pass to Chambers. He gets smacked around, and Nano's on all fours again in the far side of the ice. He has been getting battered on the far side of this ice, Garrett. My goodness gracious.
That means he's getting down deep and being a pest, though, so he's got to keep doing that. It's paying dividends.
Gathered by Whitliff, and he swishes it across. From Warner, now up to Michelli in front of the scorer's table and Kentucky bench. To the far corner where Chambers slides around and then pivots to get the puck as it went past him. He gets pinned up against the glass by Colin Holtz. Now to Chambers, through the trapezoid. Fed to the blue line where Whitliff collects it. Thinks about it, surveys his options, and it's punched across the blue line. So Indiana will have to vacate as the Wildcats get a mini change. Scooped free by Chambers, and he slings it across the boards. Puck taking 2 right turns, where it deflects oddly off the boards and collected by the Wildcats. Chipped up near the glass and into the Indiana end zone. 6:18 to play here in the third. 2-goal lead for Indiana, 4-2, after getting bounced around 5-3 on Friday night.
This period's been moving along pretty fast. Not many stoppages. We've only had 4 faceoffs thus far.
Very fluid game, Garrett. And much like the first period of last night, here's a give and go right in front. Slung in the front of the cage. Billis stopped the centering pass all by himself, and then it's stolen away. DiLorenzo read that like a book and intercepted it to help Indiana try to gather their thoughts. Again along the center line, and it's slashed into the boards where Brandenburg pushes it all the way across 200 feet, and icing is the call with 15.5 to go here in the final period. Going back to the discussion about Kyle Burke, the freshman, and the younger brother of Tim Burke, one of the captains for this team. Kyle is coming off the DL, so to speak, Garrett. He had an ACL tear, and it looks like he is back to full strength with how much he's been flying around the ice and trying to be an effective defenseman and also attacking.
Absolutely, he's looked good out there.
Right in front of the cage, Billis kicks it to the corner, and McKay slides it around as well. Gathered by Cortopella, and now O'Flaherty forces it across the sheet. The width of the neutral zone. Here's Gustafson by himself. Cuts around, a little toe drag, leaves it for O'Flaherty. Backhander gobbled up by Tucker, and the clock stops with a few seconds over 15 to play. A dangerous rush that was neutered by Kentucky thanks to some skillful net minding.
Both teams struggling to get some offense going here. Only 3 total shots, 2 of them belonging to Kentucky.
After the faceoff, the puck squeaks free and zips all the way across the ice. So just 5 ticks come off the big board. And we'll put the horses in the chute and do it all over, Garrett. Castricani stepping into the dot has proved pretty effective in faceoffs for Indiana. As a team, Indiana winning about 55% of the draws. A shot, Billis doesn't have to make a save, it buzzes the tower. Castricani gets stood up and tries to poke it away. Centered and poked free by McKay, and it lofts into the air. To Gustafson by himself. Right-handed shot, shoots, and right into the armpit of Tucker again, saving the day for the Cats. Score holds at 4-2, and those are 2 grade A saves by Tucker the senior.
Tucker, he's faced a flurry of shots thus far, and he's had to move around the crease quite a bit, be active down there, but he's made a few good saves. Another one right there.
Indiana fighting for control, and they do just that. Here's Simoneau trying to find his man Warner along the blue line instead. It's 9-9 right toward Billis, who takes the bad hop off the edge of the grass, as it were, and collects it with 14:24 to go here in the third. Last year, Sam Tucker, 5'10", 170 pounds, went 11-7 in 17 starts. and even had a shutout. He averaged about 29.5 saves per game. So those were not cheapies by any means, Garrett.
Got to earn them any way you can get them, and did a good job of that. Now D'Amico coming the other way.
Here comes D'Amico. Already plenty of points, a plethora of times his name has been written down on the score sheet this weekend. 4 points last night, 3 goals and a helper. And he's got the assist on one of Eastlac's 2 goals. Stepping into the dot against Brett Quinn is Chambers. He's unable to win that combat and then pushes the opponent into the glass. Chambers now on his shin pads, and Quinn can't find it under him. Leo Warner digging in and then pushes D'Amico down. Shot from long range, kicked away by the toe of Billis. And a soft hand pass between Simino and Michelli goes right through number 3. And the Wildcats will get a chance to set up something meaningful. Instead, they muff it at center ice. And it's roped across by DiLorenzo, who then gets drilled. We may see an interference call. Goodness gracious, Garrett. DiLorenzo finally back up onto his blades and adjusting his belt. Looks to be not quite thrilled with the result of that play.
Yeah, he took a lick right there.
So the 6th power play for the Hoosiers. They've already got multiple power play goals tonight. And settling in to win the draw is Jeremy. Jeremy lets Whitliff take it and then works the blue line himself before having to cede the upper third. Hand off to DiLorenzo, no look to Whitliff in his own circle, and fired forward to O'Flaherty where it chops off of his stick. Again, airmailed to the far side, and Whitliff scoops it up right in front of his own net, nearly a giveaway. My goodness. LaRue, almost a grade A opportunity on the takeaway. DiLorenzo, chip and chase, and Tucker covers it to stop the clock at 12:48, and a 5-on-4 power play still up on the board for the Hoosiers. Well, Garrett, believe it or not, both of the Burke brothers were captains for Glenbrook North, their team in the Chicago area. Whitliff off the draw, pushes it to DiLorenzo. His shot gets kicked away by the right pillow. Fed right behind DiLorenzo. He was on his shin protectors and then gets squished up against the glass. Serious rugby scrum finally ushered away. That's off the stick of Underwood. Over Whitliff's towering arms at the blue line, and Billis feeds to the far corner. A one-timer sails high and wide. Never any danger. Now DiLorenzo with some pace. He avoids a hit, but then gets the brunt of the second one, and the puck flies out of play past the flag of Japan on the far side of the rink.
Yeah, that was something I noticed. They've got United Kingdom up there, Canada, Japan, another one in the middle, can't quite tell.
Looks like the state flag of Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, good call.
So a Union Jack and 2 Old Glories. And after the faceoff, Slavin gets absolutely dumped just outside the zone. Still physical play and still a power play for Indiana. Warner bides his time and then a back and forth that will result in an offside and temporarily stiffing the attack for Indiana.
Things are starting to get physical. You can tell the frustration's building for Kentucky, especially as time winds down. We're almost halfway through the final period here.
Slavin takes Rakitic down to a knee, and they both have to regather themselves. Dusting off the ice. Warner gathers it in the trapezoid and lets Castracani carry the mail. He slides around and jackknifes between defensemen. Bounces in front of the face of Slavin off the glass. And Leo Warner takes a Sunday stroll back toward his own net. Gustafson sliding calmly around the neutral zone and then is dragged down. But an offside is the call rather than a trip. So the clock freezing at 11:25 in the third period. Still a 2-goal margin. and Indiana for a few more moments on the power play. Wildcat faithful still in the barn, about half full. 3/4 full was the maximum I think we could estimate last night, Garrett.
Yeah, we were talking with some rink locals before the game too, and they said they were disappointed in the crowd last night.
Well, it's Halloween costume night, and we've even got a little festive pumpkin in the corner. A quick shot, Tucker doesn't have to make a save. And it caroms over in front of the Kentucky bench before being thrust across the ice. Change for the Wildcats, and they have almost gotten themselves back. Now it is full strength, 5 aside, and Brandenburg toils around with Quinn before letting Timmons feed it back to him. Jeremy in space loses it under his skate and nearly has his pocket picked. Now Slavin has to go chase it down in the far side. Chipped up in front, and Jeremy steps in between the pass. DiLorenzo's loft as the Hoosiers get a quick change. Nearly the halfway point of this third period. Fed to the backside, Quinn a shot, and Billis, stonewall save, holds his ground again. 10:25 to go here in the third, 5 aside. And the Black Sweaters of Indiana are looking like they may have some luck in them.
No question about that, and Sammy's been extra dialed in tonight, it seems. He knows how big this game is, and he's going to do whatever he can to get the win.
Well, Sammy B was the playoffs MVP of the TSCHL tournament last year and had a .966 save percentage through the first 6 games of the playoffs. Blowing a tire in the far corner was Underwood. He cedes it to D'Amico, who then gets smashed in front of his own bench. Deflected, Eastlack on a one-man wrecking crew. Centers it, but no one was with him. And Simoneau calmly trying to make the pass over toward Chambers. Puck flops into the stick of Warner, who tries to enter and then has it stolen away. Puck swirling past the left corner and fed in front. Crossing the center line. Both sides looking to slow down just a little bit as we're past the halfway point of this third period. Indiana still up by 2. The 2 goals for the Cats coming from their graduate and captain, Gary Eastlack. Will Jeremy tries to get a pass that exits the zone, and a long rainbow of a shot, calmly chested down by Billis. Pass from the netminder bounces off Slavin's leg, and he tries to ride a man before gaining the puck back. Icing will be the call as the linesman on the near side makes the call. So 9 minutes and 6 ticks left up on the big board.
We're going to be getting in close to crunch time pretty soon. You're going to see a sense of urgency from Kentucky. They're going to have to step it up and really be the aggressors, down by a couple goals here.
Draw blown dead, and the referee didn't quite like what he saw. So just a few seconds come off the clock. And now it looks like Slavin is headed toward the bench and perhaps even the penalty box. So it is. Well, for one reason or another, Luke Slavin will sit for 2 minutes, and we'll wait for the PA to confirm as such.
And if you're Indiana, that's exactly the opposite of what you wanted to happen right there. We just talked about how Kentucky is going to need to have a sense of urgency, but now they're up a man.
We've reached 0200, the top of the hour, 2 a.m. Eastern time here in Lexington, Kentucky. This is the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. On the YouTube page for IU Hockey, it's Hockey at Indiana University. And the draw won by Kentucky, finally carrying it out of their own zone. Cortapella whisks it away, and the shot glances off the leg of Hawkins into the end zone. McKay frees it and gives it up to Cortapella, but he mishandled it as well. Kept in the zone by LaRue. Hawkins goes down onto a knee and feeds it in front. Here's Jeremy with some speed, zigzagging. Sidesteps, a quick shot high, and Tucker looked like he may have taken it in the face, but a glove save nonetheless. 8.5 to go in the third.
Yeah, Tucker didn't see that puck coming in well at all, Sam. It took him by surprise, and he was able to get the glove up at the last second, but that did not look coordinated. Good thought by Jeremy right there, though.
Shots on goal, 6-4 in favor of the visitors. Draw won by Indiana. Warner fakes the shot. Whitliff, little hezzy-hey at the blue line, and then sends it into the end zone. Mishandled by Rakitic and pushed across the blue line. So Indiana will have to chase it down. 4-on-4 at the moment. Whitliff playing it to Warner. Garrett, it seems like we've seen Warner on the ice more often than in past weekends tonight. A lot of time for the youngster. Now Whitliff moving forward. He's getting harassed and a little bit of a check in the back. Pushes his man down. Delayed call. Here comes Billis to the bench. Empty net for Indiana. And Whitliff plays pitch and catch with Warner, fellow Minnesota resident. Here comes Gustafson being pushed around, and he pokes it to himself up in the air. Some real skill moves. He gets ripped around. And then Castracani takes the hit. Still holding on to it. 5-on-4 after the 4-on-4. Castracani a shot. Gets gathered and collected by Sam Mickey. So after an extended empty net situation with Billis sitting on the side of the bench, 7.5 to go in the third, and that 4-on-4 will turn into a power play for Indiana.
$7:25 to go in this one on our approximate clock. And Indiana going to the man advantage here, so a fortunate break for them. They'll get to use up a couple more minutes and maybe even add on to their lead. They've already got a couple power play goals today, which is more than we can say all season. They actually have 3.
Last year when these two sides met, it was Indiana in a sweep, 7-3 in the first game and 4-3 in the matinee matchup on Saturday the following day. This time it looks like it might be a little bit different. Here's Gustafson moving around. Quick shot, scores! Jack Gustafson extends the lead. It's 5-2 for the Hoosiers, a power play marker. 7:13 to go here in the third, and the Hoosiers keep on keeping on. Gustafson with some serious pace and some serious skill as well. Missed last weekend due to illness. And that is goal number 5 of the year for the freshman.
4 goals on the power play this game for Indiana, Sam. Just incredible. Can't say we could have predicted that one coming in.
Well, it must be a Freaky Friday or Freaky Saturday, Garrett.
And really, that's been the story of both of these games. Yesterday, the penalties came back to bite Indiana, rather. But today, Kentucky's taken all the penalties, and Indiana's scoring on every power play they get.
Still a discussion between the officials, the scorers table, and the coaches. And now there may be a discussion as to what is up on the board. We anticipate a 4-on-4 being the result of that goal when we return to action, but again, the ballpark estimation guess and check method is what we'll have to employ, Garrett. Well, Gary Eastlack, the captain, number 13 for the Wildcats, is chasing some lofty numbers. He's 8th all-time in points for Kentucky, and he's 5th in goals. Man, he's chasing Taylor Vitt. McKay punches the puck against the boards, and Michelli takes it himself. Sidesteps. Hawkins a shot. High over the bar and bounces across the glass. Into the corner on the left side. Michelli chasing it down furiously. He's been back and forth, working the width of the goal line and working up a sweat. Popped up into the air, and it helicopters back down to the ice. Across the blue line, where Burt gathers it and flings it into the boards. On the near side, Indiana end zone. Michelli gets pushed headfirst into the glass. A shot gets smacked off of Chambers' leg, and Simoneau carries it before letting Chambers handle the issue. 6.5 to play. Indiana up by a trio of goals. 5-2 the count here on the rubber match of this 2-game series.
First puck off the ceiling of the weekend.
Well, Garrett, we haven't had that problem on the road. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Indiana Hoosiers home barn, I don't think you can really call it a barn, Garrett. It's more of an outdoor shack.
Yeah, shack. That was the adjective I was going to use.
32 feet at the highest point between ice level and the rafters that sit very close to the rink itself, back at the Frank in Bloomington. Right in front, popped in the air and floating back down. Arana took a swing at it, trying to bunt the puck forward. Shunted across, and Brandenburg watches it fall into his lap. Given up to D'Amico, right in front. Brick with a kick save by Billis. Point blank range. Now it slides past Jack Null back onto the ice for the first time in a little bit. And Arana finishes his check hard. Stolen by O'Flaherty. He gets twisted around. And it floats lazily into the center circle before Timmons zings it across the boards. 2 right turns for the puck. O'Flaherty chasing it down. And Brandenburg a slap shot. Hits a tree on the way. Slavin centering pass collected by Tucker, and he has to collapse violently on top of the puck. And now we have some gentlemen discussing the issue in front of the crease. Well, things calmed down faster than usual this time. 5:31 remaining in the third. 5-2 the score, still in favor of Indiana, Garrett. And it looks like this will be a situation where Indiana needs to learn how to close out games. We talked about it last year when they started out 5-4-1, and then that tear they went on, 21 of 22, the only loss coming in overtime when they went down shorthanded. And it took them a second to learn how to close out games. The linesman on the far side took a spill. Looks like he's up and healthy again. But like we said, Garrett, an important learning opportunity and a stepping stone for a team that has stumbled out of the starting blocks.
No question about that. You got to take every single one of these opportunities to learn that you can. And so far, Indiana looks like they've still got the pedal to the metal, which is good to see for them. They're not letting up at all.
McKay dilly-dallies in the end zone and has to pop it off the glass. Sent all the way across the ice. Slavin goes down and looked like he might have tweaked his knee. And then a big slash coming from the stick of Colin Costello. He took a wind-up at McKay behind the linesman's back. And if you're going to get away with it, that's how you do it, Garrett. You got to give him an A for execution.
Yeah, he took a big whack at McKay right there. Didn't really faze him at all, but you could definitely see it and hear it.
And it's no secret both of these sides have been going at each other in a very physical manner all weekend, so it's nothing out of the ordinary, and it's not unexpected for sure. That shot took a bite out of Jeremy's left leg. He's still up, but it's moving a little slower than we've seen him in the past. McKay gets squished like a bug against the window, and it's Jeremy who finds a 2-line pass recipient in DiLorenzo. A big slide tackle where Slavin nearly loses his edge and finally gets the puck in the end zone. In the far corner, as we are at 4:20 to go here in the second game of this series. Puck rolling end over end, and Brandenburg fires it off the boards. Delayed offside called. And again, a good pass stretching the defense from Brandenburg to O'Flaherty. In the near corner, O'Flaherty turns tail, gives it to Timmons at the blue line. Along that set, and then Brandenburg gets buried. Flopped into the corner, where it's pushed free by Gustafson, and then a big collision. Delayed call, and O'Flaherty may have had a little bit of a rough-up with Parker Rice on the far side. I was following the play itself, and now we've got extracurriculars for sure. Eamon Mulkern, one of the starters for Kentucky, making his presence known and his voice heard. Some very disgruntled athletes on the ice. 3:51 to go, 5-2 the score. This game, somewhat of a mirroring compared to last night, Garrett.
Yeah, they pretty much flipped the script all around, as you mentioned, Sam. O'Flaherty heading to the box now. Fortunately for Indiana, they're up by 3 goals, so it's not going to hurt them in the long run. But again, we see another flopping fish on the ice, it appears.
Well, a few ticks under 4 minutes to play. Power play for the Wildcats. They'll get just a few more chances to push something past and get back into this game. Most dangerous lead in hockey, obviously, Garrett, is a 2-goal lead, and they are still 1 away from reaching that number. Sammy Billis has performed admirably, as has Sam Tucker. And I think if not for the power plays and 4-on-4s in this game, Garrett, this could have been a pitcher's duel.
No question about that. All the penalties set up for a lot of scoring, and so far we've seen it from Indiana.
Off the draw, horns collide, and Whitliff comes to a hugging match with Colin Holtz, and just a second or two fall off the clock. Another draw right in front of Billis. This time the Cats win it solidly and slide back behind the cage. Under D'Amico's stick, no look pass to Cortapello, who then tries a no-looker to center it. Quinn behind the net to Eastlack on the far side. Shot right past the bar, and a weird ricochet. Rolling all the way across, and Indiana may get a chance to change. Still a 5-on-4 power play for the Cats. Big Blue has another big opportunity in the waning moments of this series. Pushed forward, here's D'Amico, putting his head down and gaining some speed on the outside of the circle. Avoids a poke check, and now gets wrapped around and sandwiched by Whitliff. Indiana manages to clear the puck free from the zone, and the Wildcats will have to vacate. Eastlack surveying his options and feeds to the near side. There's Burke zigzagging, and he gains the zone. A shot stiffed away by Billis. A good stick save again. Wrapped around the boards. Eastlack collects it and sends it right back into the corner it came from. Warner sees the puck and decides to give it a 200-foot ride. Change for the Indiana Killers. 2.5 to go. Power play still on. Cortapello avoids a big hit. Hawkins had him lined up dead to rights. Now Quinn on his backhand, feathers it across. A shot through traffic. Billis had to punch it away, and even then it nearly hit the target. That shot came off the stick of Tyler Koskren. 2 minutes and change to go in the game. Still a 3-goal lead for Indiana on the road in a crucial TSCHL game. Errant pass gets gathered by Griffin Timmons in his own zone, and he sends it all the way across again. We've seen the penalty kill as a strength for Indiana, and a couple weird odd man rushes that they've had have proved that tonight. Taken further by LaRue. Really being harassed. His centering pass right under the stick and the leg of Noel. Again, LaRue has it. No looker, and Hawkins gets hit in the chops. Centered and poked free. Mulkern, toe drag, shot right in front. Hawkins stands his ground and sends it all the way across.
Fortunately, no icing there for Indiana. Puck didn't travel quite far enough, so now the clock will continue running.
69 seconds left in this game, 5 aside. And this may be an insurmountable lead for the Wildcats at this moment. Whistle blows as the linesman didn't like what he saw, neither did the referee on the near side. And so we will give everyone a chance to catch their breath, including us.
And Indiana able to pull through here, come out of Lexington with a win.
Just a reminder, as we previously mentioned, the next time you can catch the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network live will be when the Hoosiers take on the Cardinals of Louisville. Chopped at by O'Flaherty. He slings it into the air, and it is lofted all the way to Gustafson, who gives chase. Little head fake, he turns his hips, and then goes through the trapezoid, where he dumps it for Castracani. Castracani, who's been an effective attacker, yanks it away. Now behind the cage, Gustafson dumps it, trying to find a recipient to the pass. O'Flaherty pokes it back to himself. Really doing some heavy lifting. Castracani again trying to play it, but the puck bounces violently into the corner. Going down to block it was Rakitic. A quick shot by Gustafson. There's a man for Kentucky missing his stick. It was Rakitic, and he took advantage of everything he has out on the ice. Now a delayed call, and it looks like a little bit of pushing and shoving between Costello and an Indiana skater. Now a big punch being thrown, and a haymaker as Leo Warner has his helmet ripped off. His face mask is broken from his helmet, Garrett. My goodness, that'll have to be.
That's an early shower, yep.
So both teams now have a disqualification. Being sent to the showers is Colin Costello. And in the first period, it was Indiana's McDonald who received an ejection. Game misconduct, one aside. And with 7 seconds left, I don't anticipate anything major resulting from the ensuing situation, Garrett.
He gets about a 10-second head start, plus the handshake line, getting to the shower before everybody else. But yeah, you mentioned Warner got his face mask ripped off his helmet right there, so got to imagine that'll take him out for the remainder.
I've never seen that, Garrett.
He's still hanging out over by the Kentucky bench. I don't know if they have somebody on the equipment staff working on it.
He lost his stick as well. He lost a glove and a stick when he was bodied over by the bench.
Now they're going to put him in the box.
Seems like a bit of a moot point with 7 seconds remaining.
There he goes.
But he will clamber over the wood and take a seat. The trash talking still hasn't stopped between the benches, and the referees are converging.
They just got to drop the puck and get these final seconds off, honestly.
Big Blue Nation has headed for the exits with just a few ticks left on the clock, and the score at 5-2 as we see Chambers for Indiana playing a little air guitar as the scores are still being settled by the linesman. Garrett, what are we going to anticipate when Indiana plays Louisville? Louisville, a perennial powerhouse. Last year, a little bit of a down year, but always competitive. Coach Brian Graham always plays it close. And a team that really should not be overlooked. A lot of veterans on that team.
Yeah, Sam, you talk about it. Both of these teams residing in Kentucky, they're tough matchups every time you play them. They're physical. We're probably going to see just as much hitting and just as many penalties as we saw this weekend, especially in the away game at Louisville. So it'll be interesting. I'm glad Indiana does have a game at home next week, so they'll be able to fortify the Frank. You know, it's always fortified, so they'll continue that. But, no, it's going to be another great couple games, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, they do decide to just cut their losses and send Leo packing. He'll get to beat the traffic as well and say hi to Tommy McDonald in the locker room from an eruption of cheers. And it's the scratches for Indiana, the healthy scratches, and the injured reserve over there giving him a pat on the back. A bit of a weird way to end the weekend, Garrett, with gridlock essentially at the scorer's table.
Now they got to explain the penalties to everybody.
For Indiana, it will be a, it'll be a 5-on-5 it looks like on the ice. And still some confusion as the Wildcats haven't fielded a side yet. Now they do slide onto the ice, and Chambers is still playing his air guitar, Garrett.
All right.
8 seconds left. 5-on-5. No harm, no foul, and 2 ejections. After the draw, Indiana collects it calmly and will hold it to drain the rest of the clock off. 5-2 the final score. The Hoosiers put a tally in the win column on the road on Saturday against the Wildcats. A tough battle that was a back-and-forth affair all weekend, a physical and rowdy set of games thanks to the fans and the players out on the sheet. Garrett, a fun bus ride, or at least a less upsetting and more jovial one than in past weekends for the Hoosiers await them.
No question about that, Sam. Everybody wanting to get home as quick as possible back to Bloomington, but it's always better to sit on a bus for 3.5 hours after you get a win, no question. Great job by the boys today.
Shots on goal in that third period, 9-7 in favor of Indiana. The hits favoring the Cats, 8-7. Face-offs were a dead heat, 14-14 in 28 draws in period number 3. And as the handshakes take place at center ice, we'll send it to a break before the postgame show. Alongside my color commentator and right-hand man, Garrett Drake, our tech assistant and pregame, postgame host, Andrew Gus. I've been your play-by-play broadcaster, Sam Weixler, saying so long, good night. Thank you for tuning in to Hockey at Indiana University on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. Final score 5-2. The Hoosiers put a tally in the win column.
Welcome to the post-game show. I'm Andrew Guster alongside Garrett Drake as the Hoosiers just took down the Kentucky Wildcats by a final score of 5-2. The Hoosiers did everything right tonight. There were still a few mistakes on the defensive side, along with making a few silly penalties. But overall, great game for the Hoosiers. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we saw a physical game all the way through, but we saw a lot smarter play from Indiana today, and Kentucky took some untimely penalties. It would kind of flip the script, as we mentioned on the broadcast as well, and the Hoosiers with 4 power play goals. Just an incredible performance by them, and something that we couldn't have predicted in the pregame because they haven't shown us that all year. So it was great to see, and the power play looked very impressive.
And that's one way to step up your stats for sure. I believe we had 4 tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Just did a great job moving the puck around, getting shots, finding that open lane, and getting men in front for the screen. We saw a few deflection goals, a few straight in. Just overall, everything they did tonight was a great job. Billis, once again, great job. Not many odd man rushes to prevent him and leave him out to dry. It was a full team win tonight, and it was a great way to finish up that series with a 1-1. Looking ahead, next weekend we'll have Louisville at home at the Frank on Friday, and we'll head to Louisville on Saturday for a second game. So should be a great weekend for that. Another weekend of Hoosier hockey, and just more and more to continue. Saying good night from the hockey broadcast here at Indiana for Sam Weixler, Garrett Drake. I've been Andrew Gus. We're going to say have a great night and go Hoosiers.
Let's go home.